like Miami.
Miami, 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 Miami.
It feels like Miami.
Welcome to the Heat Beat Podcast. I'm your host, Giancarlo Navas, and with me today, StreamB co-founder and 2K coach, Franky G.
Heat in 6.
Wow, Franky has the guts. Guys, let me know if the audio is a little weird. Again, trying a new setup, trying to figure stuff out. So you guys gotta let me know if things are working, if things are not. We're working through some stuff. So keep us posted if things sound good or they don't sound good, so we can adjust as we go. I want to welcome our Twitch audience, of course, here on twitch.tv/MIAHeatbeat if you're watching live. If you're watching on YouTube, I thank you very much. Please hit that subscribe button. That really helps us, especially in these times. Help us with the algorithms. They like us. They like when you subscribe. It helps us. Like, comment, all that stuff. That always helps us. And if you're a pod listener, shoot us a review. There are a lot of angry Laker fans that gave us bad reviews during the finals. So how about you bump that up from 4.5 to 5? Help us out there a little bit. Franky and I have a lot to talk about today. That game 2 was bad. It was really bad. It was like bad.
Oh, yeah.
Franky, to me it
What's
felt
worse than bad?
It was shades of 2014. It felt like 2014 to me.
Ooh, shellacking. God, I've written that off the memory. I forgot what 2014 was. 2014 and 2011 hurt too much. I really don't like to think about them that much. But unlike 2014, I think the Heat have a chance to really get back into the series.
I do too. Well, I mean, I don't really think that. I'm not going to lie. I don't really feel like they have a big chance to get back in the series, but we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about it. We're going to get into some stuff, and we're going to see kind of how things are breaking out for Miami. So I guess first things first, Franky, the thing I noticed, and my biggest takeaway from rewatching the game, Alf said he gave us a bad review on the Apple review. That's very kind of you. Brass really wants us to talk about those terrible jerseys. Maybe we'll get into that later, although I don't feel very passionate about them. Brass really does. He's been yelling at me in the group chat. My biggest takeaway, Franky, is they cannot guard Giannis with Ariza. For 2 games, it's looked bad. I thought in game 2 in particular, he just stands no chance. Like, he stands no chance. He's not strong enough like Jay Crowder. I think he's just also been kind of bad in the margins. And sometimes they're like, am I going to double team? Am I not? He kind of does these weird soft traps and then like rotates late. He's just not been, he's not been all there. And I don't know what better options they have. And we're going to kind of get into the best of those bad options. But if he's unable to guard Giannis, like, they have to just decide, in my opinion, okay, well, Ariza, you have to guard Lopez, and we live with that result. And Bam has to be against Giannis, on the ball, in screens, all that stuff, because Ariza just can't. He's been bad in the drop when they use him in that. And they've dropped like more than I thought this series. That has been a little bit surprising. And he's been bad just on ball against Giannis. And I'm curious if to you is like, because to me that's been the biggest red flag.
Yeah, and their double teams have been coming one pass away. So it's a real easy read for Giannis, and he doesn't have to force the issue inside out. That's a good look for any NBA shooter, and they've fucking killed us in game 2 with that. I think they mix up where the double teams are coming from when Bam isn't on him, or transition and switches and whatever. They're gonna have to like really show them some different looks. I think Spo has done a poor job offensively. I think the coverages. I mean, to give the Bucks credit, they're a phenomenal defensive team. They have fantastic defensive players, a lot of versatility. Giannis is a monster. Drew's a monster. And they're able to blow things up. When Brook Lopez is like your third best defender, that's saying a lot. And Middleton's no slouch either. He's done a great job chasing Duncan, guarding Jimmy, whatever they ask him to do. So they're a tough team. I think offensively they can do a lot more to help Bam and Jimmy. and free up their shooters. I think defensively, that's going to be the toughest task. I think their best bet is to control the pace and make sure they play a slow pace in their game, grind that out. You saw how playing a slow pace helped them the first game. And you saw that first quarter in game 2 when the Bucks went off to a blistering place. Miami tried to play that way too, and they started chucking threes, leading to long rebounds. And Bucks have athletes to get out in transition and push the ball, and they attack mismatches in transition. It's all going to start with pace. All going to start with pace control. You're not going to win a fast game.
So I want to get into the offense a little bit, like on the back half of the show, because I in the beginning, Frankie, I wanted to focus on the defense, because to me in game 2, that's what stood out, because they got to 98 points. I mean, it's about what they are right this season. So I mean, that to me wasn't even as alarming. I mean, their offensive issues are their offensive issues, and I think they can kind of work around that. But and that I think is that problem's a little like more visible than the defense, but the Bucks have done a great job this playoff series of hunting mismatches. They've been absolutely incredible at looking for where's Duncan, right? And by the way, they've had Duncan defend Middleton a ton, and sometimes that's because he's gotten switched on to him, and sometimes just because that's his assignment. And I think he's been fine, but against a guy like Middleton, you need to be more than fine. And I don't know how much of that. I mean, he's far from the problem, right? But for me, he's been mostly fine. And against Middleton, you have to be better than fine. Man, that camera went away for a little longer, right? that one felt like it was an extra second. So to me, that's one thing. I think Nunn and Tyler have been absolute disasters. I thought Nunn was okay in game 1. And then yesterday, he was just trailing every play. They were looking for his man every time. Like, who is Nunn guarding? And he is going to be in any screen action, whether it's the double drag, which Milwaukee got so much mileage running double drag with Middleton and Giannis. So you get Drew, Middleton, and Giannis in the same play, and Nunn is somewhere behind that, and Bam has to rotate to a shooter, and either you get a roller to the rim or you get Middleton or Drew wide open, which is not something that you want. So they're over helping on that stuff. It's Frankie, their defense is in flux, and I don't like, they can't not play Tyler and Nunn. Maybe they can slash one of their minutes, right? Maybe they slash Tyler's or they slash Kendrick's. But in reality, like, and Goran as well. I mean, Goran's not free from, although I don't think Goran's been like the problem. I think he's been like, again, fine for what he is. But those guys were like kind of like that shit was like a fucking fire drill.
Yeah, these bad defenders have turned worse and been mismatch hunted by guys with size. Drew is the smallest guy you mentioned there, and he's 6'4" with a close to 7-foot wingspan, and he can shoot off the dribble. He can get to the basket. He's fast. He can make plays. Middleton isn't the fleetest of foot. And that's why Goran had some success against him, but he's also very strong, very skilled, very good at shooting off in the post, good shooting over guys without any discomfort there. Giannis is going to you mentioned the Ariza thing, that Ariza's too weak to guard him. That's been a big issue. Last year we saw Jay. One of the biggest things Jay did was keep Giannis 20 feet out all the time. Giannis is catching the ball 20 feet out. He's been catching this ball all series 12 feet in. 12 feet in. That's one dribble, one move. We know that spin move is coming, and he's able to do that spin move for 8 feet away instead of 15 feet away like last season. They need to do a better job of that. They need to do a much better job closing off all these actions, contesting. The Bucks shot way too many uncontested threes, and that's a fault of them helping one pass away consistently, which we saw all season. That when they help one pass away, they get torched. They need to work on their stunting and recovering. Guys need to be able to guard their man. I expect we see some zone next game. They haven't. I don't think they've thrown it out at all. I don't
Zero
remember
possessions of zone.
Zero possessions.
Yeah, zero possessions.
I expect Spo to mix it up a little more in game 3.
Frankie, the stunt and recover is something that I think is that's the most obvious thing they can do, right? It's what they did last season. They haven't done a lot of it. I think they're kind of switching a ton, and like some of the possessions where they switch Nunn onto Giannis or Duncan onto Giannis, that's like whatever. I mean, they can clean up. They don't have to. That's something that you can easily do. It's when there's like multiple actions, right? And a guy is trailing and he doesn't know, do I switch this off? This is like when they do the double drag, right? It's like, okay, well, if none's on the first screen, he's like, well, do I switch? Do I go under? Do I go over? And when a guy is like him or like Tyler, in them specifically, because Goran's a little more experienced and knows what to do, when those young guys who are just not good defenders off the bat are put in those positions, it creates chaos, right? And I think they overhelp a ton. That's something that I think can be corrected. There were a lot of instances where kind of Tyler's under the basket because like one guy is in the dunker spot and like Bam has to split the difference. And then Tyler's like, well, I think I'm responsible for like PJ Tucker kind of standing here, even though Bam's fronting him. And then all of a sudden this Forbes guy frees out behind him and then he's running and trailing, or guys from his corner move and he's like not 100% paying attention. And like Connaughton did that a couple times. And that one doesn't bother me as much because, like, if you cheat off Connaughton and he hits whatever, I mean, you should clean that up considering the kinds of plays that they're running. But, you know, if you cheat off a guy that's not, like, a great shooter, I'm not, like, too mad at that. But the stuff on Forbes, it was pretty inexcusable. Like, and just him and Nunn aren't, it's not survivable for them. It's not. And unless they're going to give you something offensively, which neither has, Frankie, Kendrick Nunn pick and roll as a handler was the highest used play. Yes, for game 2. That's insane.
That was a lot of quick offense too. Like they tried to respond to Milwaukee's quick buckets with a quick bucket themselves, and they were missing a lot. And those were a lot of those Kendrick looks. The thing about Kendrick looks is that the defense is going to concede that all game. They're going to concede the Kendrick wide open shots, the rhythm shots for Kendrick all game, because Kendrick's not a playmaker and Kendrick's not going to get to the line and create pressure as a scorer like that. He's not going to get to the paint and make the defense collapse. He's going to take a lot of mid-range and pull-ups, and that's good. Like, you need that kind of guy in your team. You need a guy who can hit those shots, but he's not hit. He doesn't hit them at a clip where the defense is going to overreact to it, and they're going to take it. And especially when you're taking it that early, those shots you can get with 12 seconds left on the clock, and he's taking them with 18 seconds left. And Milwaukee's just able to grab that rebound and push the ball and get another good look from them, get inside out. That's something they need to pick up. They're not getting into the paint enough offensively. Jimmy and Bam need to do a much better job, both of them. Goran needs to help out as much as he can. It's tough with Kendrick and Tyler. They need to do their work a lot early too, man. Transition defense is fucking terrible. They're not picking up high enough.
No.
You mentioned one of your plays. Tyler's at the free throw line and he's got to rise up and then navigate a screen instead of knowing he's got Bryn Forbes is the hottest shooter on the team in that game. Like, it's just little IQ things. Head on a swivel, little shit you learn in early fucking basketball that Tyler's and none aren't doing defensively. It's frustrating, but that's what you get when you build your team with a bunch of one-way guys.
It's, Frankie, it's kind of unfortunate because like this, like they have so many leaky holes on defense, and a guy like Dedmon, I see, like, he makes plays and he's not like a quick-footed guy, and like he has to be in a deep drop because that's like really how he's going to survive. He's not going to be crisp on rotations because that's not the kind of player he is. If he was surrounded with guards that could stay in front of somebody, if he was put in more situations where he doesn't have to like step out and make a play, he'd look a lot better on defense. But he's also an issue because the guys around him aren't good, and he's not an eraser, right? If you kind of funnel things his way, he has the length, he has the wherewithal to kind of contest and make it difficult. Forbes had a really tough floater over him when he was kind of directed that way. But the issue is when you have guys like Nunn or whatever and Tyler and Dragic and he has to clean up mistakes, now all of a sudden he's in space, and that's the last thing you want. And the Bucks know that. So they're going at those units consistently. These shooters are flying everywhere. They're creating mismatches, and Miami just has no answers on defense, which has been their calling card. Now, let's see how we can fix this, right? Because we know what's going wrong. We see all this happening, all this havoc, and how could we fix this, right? I think they can do a couple things. I think the one we mentioned up top is kind of the easy solution. You put Bam on the ball against Giannis, that's easy, and then you put Ariza on Lopez, you live with that result, right? And what you do there is when they want to run Giannis handoff, when they want to run Giannis as a screener, you have a guy who, by the way, they were using Bam and drop. That was something that we haven't seen a lot of in the regular season. And when you get Bam and drop with Jimmy on ball, because if Jimmy's guarding Middleton now, right, you kind of move Duncan off of Middleton, and maybe you put him on DiVincenzo, right? You kind of shorten that rotation, give none fewer minutes, give Tyler fewer minutes, get some of your bigger wings in the game, and all of a sudden, you have these competent defensive lineups. You put Bam in a drop, kind of fronting Giannis, get in front of the ball, and you really force their guards to make tough passes over length. And that's one thing that you can do. I think the zone, as you mentioned, is another thing you can do. I don't know how often they'll go to that, and I think you can probably do that in maybe when Holiday is without Giannis. I think that's when Middleton. God damn it, Holiday without Middleton. You can do it that because you really kind of lose that shooting threat or whatever, and Middleton can really kind of break his zone a lot easier. So I don't know if you have any other solutions. I know that the big one is the 2 big lineup. We can get into that now. I don't know if you had something else to add and maybe how they can kind of fix this.
I think one of the biggest things I mentioned it earlier, but picking and choosing where the doubling is coming from, it cannot come from one pass away. They can mix up the looks, send it from the weak side, help out that way. Send it from the weak side corner, weak side wing. Mix it up, just don't let Giannis get comfortable with possessions, differentiate it so that he has to make a difficult reads. You got to speed the game up for Giannis. And so he's not seeing everything, and you got to force his team to make some mistakes in the half court. You want to play at your pace offensively so you can get Milwaukee to not be able to space it out, spread the floor, and run with as many shooters as they have. And they have too many guys that can get to the cup and kick it out for other shooters and make the game real easy for them. Defensively, man, it's the biggest thing, honestly. It's unbelievable, but the bad defenders have to play better. Tyler, Goran, Nunn, Duncan, they have to play better. They can't be fucking weaknesses. They have to take better angles. They have to be smarter. They have to be sharper. You can hide some of that in the zone. But if you're all getting fucking mismatch hunted, you're all liabilities, and you're not contributing offensively, the Heat don't have a chance in the series. I think playing at home is going to help them on both ends, and I hope it slows down Milwaukee. I hope the crowd energizes Miami a little bit. I still think Miami has a very good shot at evening this series, and the way Milwaukee fans have come out this fucking series,
they've been
talking
annoying.
all this hot shit. Oh, I kind of want him.
Shout out to Iman, who's fighting for Heat Twitter. David Ramil has the guts, dude. David Ramil
is John fucking Snow. Bring it against the fucking Bucks. Shout out to Ramil.
Unlikely hero. Who would have thought?
Right? I never thought Ramil would try to piss off a fan base. It's amazing.
He's here.
Besides
he DM'd me today. He DM'd me this morning. He goes, "This is fucking exhausting. I don't know how you guys do this." It's like, David, welcome to the resistance.
Hell yeah. Somebody, Zach _ 33 asked, does KZ play if they go zone? No. I don't think KZ's ready at all to play. He would have been playing in the regular season if they believed he was ready to
contribute.
Not good.
He's not good. I think that on ball he can be a little okay, but with the amount of screen actions the Bucks are running. And hey, by the way, let's give credit to Bud. I mean, has coaching
he's done an
amazing series. I mean, he's a good coach. They've gone to different things. They've busted out new things that they haven't against the Heat. They've been committed to attacking mismatches. Frankly, I still don't know what they do if they start targeting like Tyler, right? Like if Forbes screening, right, or whichever hot shooter screening for Giannis, right, or Middleton, that gets tough because I mean, if one of them screens for Middleton, that's an automatic switch. But again, Middleton's gonna eat that guy up easy, especially if it's an even smaller guy. And Giannis is just destroying dudes, right? And that help, they're a little smaller. Jay Crowder's not here, and I think that's been talked about a lot. We don't got to get into that, but the help is a little smaller, right? And yeah. I mean, maybe you put Jimmy on ball against Giannis too. That could be a look, and you keep Bam off ball to help. That's an option. But I
think that could work actually, because then you could still have Ariza on Middleton, which wouldn't be that far off for what he can do.
I think Jimmy on Middleton makes sense though, but yeah.
No, it does, but Jimmy on Giannis makes a lot more sense than Trevor on him, and it's a way it's a look you can start with and then go to Bam in the fourth.
They're getting killed on the offensive rebounds for 2 straight games. That's also an issue. and that I don't know how they fix. That's just who they are, and the Bucks present that unique issue with all the kind of switching and overhelping.
It starts with getting Giannis out of the paint, making him work earlier outside, catching the ball 20 feet out, and not letting him get out so early. I say try to make Drew beat you going under. Go under, pick a mix it up, make him hit 10 threes. Make him hit 10 threes. I don't think Drew's gonna do that. I don't think Drew's gonna kill you if you go under the screen like that. He can hit 4 or 5. I don't think if you give him a steady diet of that, I don't think he's gonna hit enough.
They gotta treat him like they're treating Duncan. As weird as that sounds. I mean,
live with it. Live with that. There's a way, like, you know, you got to think outside the box when you're out talented. You got to think outside the box. Try to make them ISO hunt. You mentioned the Ariza Lopez matchup. If you go to that, you may force feed that. Don't send any help. You live well with the post ups. Everybody crash the glass, and you live with the results. You got to do stuff like that.
I thought that if they were to switch stuff on Giannis, that they would bait Giannis into post-ups, and that just hasn't been the case. And by the way, credit to Giannis.
And they haven't done a good job either, because you mentioned the offensive rebounds. He's if he's missing the first shot, he's getting the second one, getting fouled, getting a putback.
Easy money. And you mentioned this at the top, Frankie. The passes on the double teams have been it's been so telegraphed, and the help is easy. It's right there. And they switch, and then there was a play that I tweeted, and it was an Ariza. Ariza was on the ball, and I think Duncan was on Middleton. Middleton sets kind of like a brush screen. Duncan switches because Ariza was kind of off balance.
Can you pull that up? Can you pull the play up?
I can try, yeah. So but yeah, so like that happens, right? That happens to them, and then Ariza comes over to help because you know that he has to double team because it's Duncan low with Giannis in front of the basket, and you're just like, he has no chance, right? So he has to come, and that's an easy double. Yeah.
Another thing, you got to make him take tough shots. Like they got to do a better job pressuring the ball when they're trying to float those passes inside, which is easier said than done. Those are NBA. Like Drew's a really good passer and playmaker. But they need to make his job a little harder, and mix up the coverage looks on him. Try to make him more of a scorer. He's going to be a playmaker, and that he's comfortable as a playmaker. He's not as comfortable as a scorer. I know he's wanted to play 2 guard and play off the ball more, but like do your job, make plays on the ball. Make him be the number 1 scorer. Be aggressive. Live with the Drew Holiday scoring game.
Yeah, I'm trying to find the play because I think it's like super. I think it's super emblematic of kind of like their main issues with kind of the doubling and stuff like that. Yeah. I would like some harder doubles. Like we haven't seen. And man, credit to Nikai.
Everything's soft.
Everything's soft. Everything about him is soft. And by the way, credit to Nikai because Nikai's even told me, he's like, this is not a series where they're gonna trap. It's just not what they're going to do. And that's kind of been a huge base of their defense. And they just haven't gone to it. And I kind of think that they might have to. Like, if you have to hard trap Drew, you hard trap Drew, right? Like, their guards are not surviving where you can, like, not do that, right? Like, if you have to double, you have to double. I don't really know what else you can do.
But the thing is, when you help one pass away, because when I coached, when I was an assistant coach, our coach we did pack line, so we helped one pass away. When you help one pass away, the next guy's job is supposed to come over and help to take away that first pass and not make that easy. He's supposed to stunt. He's supposed to switch on there and help the rotations on the back line and trust the guy who doubled to rotate over to the weak side. You're supposed to do something like that. They're doubling one pass away, and on the weak side's being occupied with actions, or they're not doing anything. They're not paying attention enough. And you got Jimmy standing around, Duncan standing around, Goran standing around. None. All these guys standing around instead of rotating over and helping the guy who's helping whoever's in the post.
All right, so I think we have the play. Let's go to it so we can see a little bit. So yeah, here we're gonna have the volume a little bit. So look at that. We get that. Boom. We get that switch right there. Right. So Ariza's kind of flat-footed. You get that Duncan switch. You have Middleton on him. You have Middleton kind of there. And then, look, Giannis is going to take his time. Ariza, look. Everybody knows that Ariza has to come help, right? Because Duncan's in a one-on-one. Giannis is posting him up. That help right there, that's an easy pass. There's nothing obstructing that pass. Look how open Middleton is. Look how easy that pass and that read was. Look at that. Jimmy has to come help. He was all the way on the other side of the court. That ball's going up before Jimmy has a chance to get there, and that's cash, right? So they have no chance to get there.
It feel like my
Listen, I'm working through OBS.
All right. Yeah.
You know what's funny? I always keep that off before, but then I always forget when I start the new show, so the music comes. So we're working. Shout out to the kid for the Prime sub. We appreciate that kind of support. Chad says run the song back. Yeah, dude, that's just the shit that they deal with in this series, and like Ariza has to be better. I mean, you fucked up, and you just. I mean, again, the game was already going sideways for them.
No, put that play back up though. Can you pause it right when when Ariza goes to help?
Yeah. Okay, so we have here Giannis has the rebound. He's kind of going right. Ariza's there, so that's the switch, right?
Yeah,
that's that. I mean, whatever. And Ariza's again in no man's land.
All right. So one big difference the Heat did. First of all, before he makes this pass when he's isolating from the 3-point line. Last year, as soon as Giannis put that ball down, the Heat were doubling. They were sending looks at him. So last year, Ariza would have doubled there and forced that pass, and Jimmy would have already been there, or none, whoever dropped down would have already been there. Next game, roll it back a little bit.
A little bit.
Yeah,
like
okay.
Here?
So you see, right here is good. So you see Dante's coming down in the paint, bringing Kendrick with him. And Jimmy's holding on to Bam to keep him over. Ideally, Jimmy is a little bit over like right in front of Brook instead of like behind him like that, so he can get screened. So Bam can help and come over, so Ariza doesn't have to help. So Bam comes and takes away the dunk. Jimmy can help and take away the pass, and Giannis has to skip past that over Jimmy's hands into to Drew.
And that's what you want if you're the Heat defense.
That's what you want.
Passes near Jimmy.
Exactly, but sending Ariza over is taking away that difficult pass and making it a fucking easy ass pass. Now go ahead, press play. And Ariza is late, easy, boom,
easy.
Jimmy had to come from the weak side lower block to come over and take a shot away from the strong side top of the key.
That's the kind of shit that you're just like you can fix that though. Like that's not like okay, this situation's untenable. Somebody in chat is asking like you just live. Zach is asking should they just live with that Giannis post up? I mean you can't live without help. I mean you should help. Maybe one of the guys like you said you help to make the pass hard. You can't make it that easy with nobody in sight to a fucking great shooter. And that was all night, Frankie. And that's what we mean, that the Bucks are manipulating mismatches to get whatever they want to keep the Heat in rotation. And to be honest with you, the Heat are great in rotation. That's where they want to be. They're great swarming the ball, helping. This is not Miami Heat basketball. This is not Heat defense. Yeah. I'm gonna give them a pass that they were a little shell shocked. Everything went a little bit sideways on them. So I'm gonna give them a little bit of a pass, but that's not what they should be doing. All right, let's go real quick, Frankie, because I do want to talk about their offense. Let's talk about the two big lineups because I think that that's a really good transition to kind of both, like what it helps with on both ends. On defense, I think it's fine. They just keep Dedmon on Lopez, and he helps their defensive rebounding a little bit. I don't think they lose a lot, and if they just start using Lopez as a screener, you have Dedmon and drop whatever. You can manipulate the lineup around that so that it's not like your small guards. Like you can work that so that it's not like a losing game. On offense,
Dedmon can show high. Yeah, you can show at the level, and you're not afraid of Lopez as a roller, or as a pop. You take Lopez like they did this last year. Lopez, they made Lopez beat them as a shooter, and he shot 33% or lower, and you fucking live with that. He's not that great of a shooter. He's a big man who can hit an open shot. He's not a weapon that you're afraid of.
They're okay with leaving Duncan open. You got to be okay with leaving Brook open.
Exactly.
That's the guy you got to help off of, because our guy Eric Bledsoe's not there anymore. That was
You
the guy
remember
you
last
help
year? Oh, absolutely. No, but you remember last year there was a game. I think it was the last regular season game. Bucks Heat in Miami, and but Brook went off. He had like 26 points or something like that, and he blew them out because that's not a fucking recipe for success for them.
Yeah.
You know, Brook Lopez is gonna get his diet hitting twos, hitting post ups, and you're gonna live with the fucking results. That's why I really like the Trevor Ariza bait of having him guard him.
I just think getting him off Giannis is good. Like I said, the Dedmon stuff I think helps their defensive rebounding a ton. I think as an offensive rebounder, he helps him too. There was a play where I think Duncan missed a DHO and he got the offensive rebound. It was very clean.
Yeah.
You know, I think Brook was on Bam at the time. So like when you change that matchup, now Giannis is on Bam. Yeah, Bam kind of floats because he's at the elbow. So Giannis is a little bit out of the paint. The offensive rebound's not as easy. So I think that there's some benefits to it. I don't like on Hangover Time. I know Alf and people were saying like maybe they should start that. I don't know if I'd go that far. Because on offense, it does create a lot of issues. Now, the spacing is wonky. And I thought, Frankie, you made a great point on the timeline, because I had tweeted out a play where they just looked completely and utterly like, I don't know where to stand type shit, right? Like, they're kind of like both Bam's on like the high post, and like Dedmon's like has a foot in the paint, and they're like, where do we stand? And Jimmy's like working with no space, and Bam kind of flashes, and then Brook is there to help, and it's just like a mess. It's a disaster because they're three non-shooters playing inside the arc. And you said the great point of like, this is why you run this in the regular season, so you're not figuring this shit out in a leverage situation.
Yeah, and I mean it's a good time as well in the playoffs to run it in a blowout. Like just give it a shot, try to find something that works. But this is exactly why when in those blowout situations in the regular season, you try shit out. Spo is well known for trying a lot of wonky shit out in the regular season, and I don't think you can be stuck in your ways, especially when you know Bam can hit a mid-range shot. Dedmon has hit 3-point shots before, and they both play well with Jimmy. You try shit out, maybe it works. I don't think it works for a sustainable thing that you can start with and finish with or anything like that, but it's a look that you might need, and that's something you need to practice and work on, especially have some plays and situational preparation for.
I like what somebody said. I like what Vico Bueno said in chat. If you start Dedmon, you lose a backup big. Now,
yeah,
that's the other thing. And again, somebody else said earlier, it's like, well, if you start two bigs, you could just play Ariza backup 5, because I mean it's just Bobby Portis Lopez's backup, so like you're not really losing a lot, right? Which, by the way, shout out to Bobby Portis being the Heat's best player. Whew, that guy sucks at defense.
But the thing about that is, if you're playing Ariza at the 5, you're giving up size. He's struggling with Giannis.
No, but their point is like you play backup 5 when it's Portis, no Giannis.
No, I get that, but like ideally, when you have a small ball 5, that guy's hitting shots. Like he's able to space the floor. He's able to screen. Ariza's not that great of a screener, and Ariza just hasn't hit shots. We need Ariza to step up, hitting some.
They need Ariza.
Threes.
They can't win this series if he's going to.
They can't win the season. Yeah, if he's a below average player, they can't win without him.
To kind of close the door on the Dedmon Bam stuff, like I do think that we'll see it. I think that they'll go to it a little bit, and I think that they'll kind of work the lineup around it. And maybe it's like them plus Andre or them and Ariza, and like try to get something going. Maybe Duncan as well. Like to get some shooting and some movement. Dragic, like they need a little bit of offense, and especially like they can isolate sets. They can just like run DHOs or whatever. They can run double drag. With Dragic and those two bigs, that seems good. They can do stuff out of horns. They seem willing to do that. Which, by the way, like, and I don't have anything queued up, but like the other thing I noticed, and I did tweet about this, they looked like lost when they were running horns, and that's like one of their favorite sets, and they like running it with Ariza and Bam for Jimmy. And Giannis was just like pushing Ariza out of the way. He's like, "Fuck out of here!" And he starts fronting him off the screen. And I'm just like, "Oh my god!" Jimmy's like, right? So like Jimmy wants to go around the Trevor one, and Giannis is just like, moves him out of the way. He's in front, and Jimmy's like, what do I do? So I mean,
But that's where Trevor not hitting shots is a problem because Jay was fucking killing the Bucks and they couldn't ignore Jay like that because Jay shot like 45% against.
no, but it's more just like Giannis is using fucking Ariza as a napkin. Like it's crazy. Yeah. It's just like that guy's scary.
Yeah, Trevor's Franky, too light, man.
Frankie, it's fucking crazy that last year they made Giannis look like a lost soul. Like Jimmy had stolen their soul. Look, we're so far away from that picture of Jimmy screaming and George Hill looking so scared of him. Like, we're so far.
Jimmy dropped the 40 burger the first fucking game, and I don't think Bam and Jimmy combined haven't dropped 40 points together yet.
It's crazy, and like you look at the lineup data, and obviously it's all bad, right? Because that game is gonna ruin any lineup data. But Bam's only like a -5. I'm just like considering everything. That's not bad.
Yeah, they had a fucking blowout. Because the thing is Bam.
No, that wasn't just a blowout. That was the worst Heat loss in a playoff game since 2014 minimum.
Yeah,
maybe.
No, it was horrible. But the thing is that Bam, even when Bam isn't scoring, he gives you other things. He brings other things to the table. He's a good defender. But the thing is that he's got to fucking compensate for all these bad defenders. All these guys who are only on the fucking court to score aren't scoring. So Bam's got to score too. And it's unbelievable to watch this fucking team. The chat keeps bringing up Belly as a possibility to run him at the 5 for spacing, live with him going against Brook lineups or Portis. Vico Bueno doesn't like the Portis Belly matchup. I think that's a possibility at home. Maybe you can get Belly going.
I mean, maybe. I mean, it kind of is what it is. I think they can go to it. I think the most likely change in the starting lineup is gonna be Dragic.
Yeah.
I think the second most likely change is they start Belly over Ariza. I don't think that's likely, and you know how Spo feels about his vets, but that's a possibility. I think, man, it's hard to say. I mean, like everything's on the table, and listen, Eric Spoelstra started Dexter Pittman in a playoff game that mattered. Like
must win
in like a legitimate playoff game that his job might have been on the line, right? Like Eric Spoelstra at the time did not have the job security at the that was a moment, and he started Dexter Pittman, so he's not above anything.
Was horrible.
Yeah, well, I mean the Battier saved their season, but
Battier forever.
Battier shame forever, lifer, but. So I'm not like here saying like, okay, they're not going to do this, they're not going to do that, because I mean Eric Spoelstra has shown you time and time again that he's willing to do anything. So I wouldn't be surprised if we get a little bit of Belly. It's worth a shot. I mean, I tweeted out the other day. Everybody got mad at me for this, Frankie. I said an element that Miami has lost is the Olynyk pick and pop game, and Olynyk torched Milwaukee, and he didn't play a ton of minutes. Right, he played like 300 minutes in the series, or it wasn't a lot, he was effective, and they did not have an answer for pick and pop against Olynyk, and they were like plus 20 or something in that series when he played, plus 20 net rating. They were murdering him. They were murdering on offense, and he was surviving on defense because you kind of stick him on Brook, and you're just like, okay, well, that's fine, right? Like, he'll survive. They don't have that anymore. They don't have an element of their offense. They don't have a shooting big. Dedmon made 1-3, and like the Bucks will not defend him like a shooter at all. They don't even defend Duncan like a shooter. They're sure as hell not going to defend Dedmon as a shooter. And Dedmon's never going to take the volume that's going to hurt them enough. So you're kind of left with this situation where like you run a pick and pop and like nobody gives a shit what they take. And I don't even think the Heat really want that option. They'd rather them go defend the big so they can get something inside. And that's not how the Bucks play. So them losing that element specifically against this matchup with Jay and with Kelly, it really, really hurts. And I don't think that's being talked about enough because their offense is being played in a fucking phone booth.
Yeah, Kelly, Duncan got a ton of the attention defensively last season, and they were really trying to take that away. They did a pretty good job taking Duncan away, but Goran off the dribble as well as Kelly being a 3-point threat. Like I don't even remember Tyler having that great of a series against the Bucks. It was really Jay scorching them from deep, Jimmy getting to the basket whenever he wants, getting to the line a ton, killed them. Kelly giving all that space, and we talked about the Kelly and Jimmy lineups ad nauseum this season. How great that net
rating God.
yeah, that was the fucking best pairing in the league. Like it's just what Kelly brings as a screener, as a shooter, as a passer. It was just it's tough to replicate. And Bjelica, I mean, it's an option. I don't know if Spo will go to it. They see him in practice and they see what his conditioning is. The Frog mentioned that Belly lit it up against the Bucks with 3 for 5 last time he played against them. Maybe it's time to unleash the belly
Again,
ball.
they
I don't know.
dusted off Solomon Hill to play in the finals. Michael Beasley played finals minutes. Eric Spoelstra is not. By the way, one of my favorite stats ever is Michael Beasley has played more finals minutes than Derrick Rose, because Derrick Rose has played 0 finals minutes, and Michael Beasley has played some finals minutes.
Oh yeah,
King. We stand Michael Beasley. All right. Let's kind of end the show with, I guess, the three biggest things for me. 4. Well, kind of offense in general. Let's go real quick on. I don't think a lot has to be said about Dragic. It's been absolutely incredible for them. Good pick and roll player in the series. Is getting whatever he wants. Specifically, the pull ups there, the floaters there. He is 100% not the fucking problem. He's been great. Yeah. He's given them something that I did not know he still had.
Yeah, like he's getting his diet all on jumpers and floaters, and he's been really effective there.
But he's getting to his spots, like decisively.
Yeah, the biggest thing offensively is that they're not getting to the rim. They're not getting under the basket. They have,
but that's the Bucks defense. That's the Bucks defense.
Yeah, that's the Bucks defense. But they have to make an adjustment. How are they going to adjust and fix that? Because they can't survive like that.
Gogi's the only one that's kind of greasing the wheels for that.
Yeah, and there was a play where I quote tweeted that you showed that Jimmy passed out of a look. He was in the paint and he passed out for 3. And that's the thing with Jimmy and Bam, that they keep getting to the paint and passing out of shots, keep getting open looks, have a lane, passing out of it. This series is only gonna, like, we can talk about Goran and Kendrick and Tyler. This series is not gonna go anywhere if both of these guys aren't gonna be scorers. They need production from at least one of them to have a solid scoring game.
I mean, listen. Last year, they won on the margins. Jay Crowder obliterated them. The bench minutes with Kelly were great. They were winning every single marginal battle that they had, right? They weren't getting crushed on the boards. They were kind of...
They got to 50-50 balls. They did everything they needed to do.
They're at a talent disadvantage now, so more than last season. And by the way, like, they're down a guy that was a rotation player. Like, I know Oladipo wasn't like a part of this team, but they traded a guy who was part of this team in Olynyk, who was playing well for them, and he's not here anymore. And the guy that they traded for is also not playing, so they're basically just down a rotation player for nothing, and that hurts them. That hurts them, and their big situation is a little and whatever. They have Dedmon and they're fine, but I mean the option of Olynyk would have helped, right? They're not as deep as they were last season. You know, Solomon Hill would help in this series. You know, funny enough, right? So there's a lot of things, but Goran's been really good for them. He's been one of the lone bright spots. Duncan, Franky, they ran 4 DHOs for Duncan and maybe like a couple pick and rolls, right, where they were kind of staggering screens for him to get off. That's not enough. They need to go at that. I mean, they need to do that like 8 times a game minimum.
Yeah,
and that needs to be the fulcrum of their offense, because they need to punish them for playing that way. And maybe if Jimmy gets going, then you can start, you know, if Duncan is really scaring them, you can kind of isolate, you can have some more guard screens, because the Bucks are kind of showing recovering, which frankly I think has been interesting, because as much as the Bucks are mismatching Hunt the Heat can't mismatch Hunt the Bucks, because Dante DiVincenzo and Pat Connaughton and these smaller guys, when Jimmy would try to hunt for them, Duncan will come screen for him, or Tyler or whoever. And these guys are show, recover. Jimmy's man is ducked way under the screen, daring him to shoot. And Jimmy's just like, no. And he'll just like reset, right? So that's killing their offense, because he's not attacking mismatches, because the Bucks aren't letting him, and he's not shooting, and he's not kind of forcing the issue on there.
What he needs to do, like I know basketball sense is take that jumper. What he needs to do is take that space and attack it, probe it, get to the line, get to the paint, create pressure on the defense, get advantages, create that advantage. You have all that space, attack it. I don't care if it's Giannis. Attack his body, get him in foul trouble. Do you remember how good the Heat were last year when Giannis was on the court? They outscored. They killed them. The only game the Bucks won was when Giannis was out.
They were killing him.
They were killing them when Giannis was on the court. They can't. They made him a non-factor.
I'm gonna pull up. Go on, keep going.
No, I'm saying this year they've played to his strengths and made him and not taken away anything away from him.
I'm gonna pull up this play kind of on how the Bucks are kind of defending these guard screens, because the Heat made their money last season. I made a video about it that I tweeted out, but I think this is a really nice example from game 2 that we can see. So if we they need to find advantages where they can, and they just haven't been able to. What are you laughing at?
The chat, they said Vic trade seems shitty now that he was injured, even though he called it. But I mean, I'm not mad about the Oladipo trade because they went for it. They took a shot. You know,
they took a shot.
Didn't give up much. You and me were clamoring that if they could trade Iguodala and keep Kelly, that would have been better for them. But that probably wasn't on the table. Okay, somebody Air Sims asked, why does our transition offense suck? The Heat don't have great athletes. They're not going to outrun anybody, and they don't have a guy who can get gravity out with the ball as a shooter. So they're easy to defend.
Let's take a look at this
winning shot for the Bucks.
So right here, Jimmy has the ball. This is perfect because this is in transition, right? So Jimmy gets the ball. Bucks do a great job. They get back. Look at Duncan. Duncan's gonna come up to set this little brush screen, and boom, Dante does a hard show and recover. That's not a switch. He kind of jumps out. No switch. Look at Middleton ducking way under, and then Dante recovers to Duncan. Now look at this. Jimmy does not look. There's a seam. Chris Middleton is not like 100% squared in front of Jimmy. Jimmy could have taken a hard dribble into the paint, force a rotation, force a hand in, try to get a foul, or even a 1 or 2 dribble pull up. But look, instead he kind of stops, looks to pass to Ariza, gives it over there. Kind of Giannis gets out to recover, and then here we go. Now we're running a Bam post up, and that's just not the offense you want. You don't want a turnaround jumper in the post for him. That's not what you want. So
yeah. Zach mentioned in the chat that Jimmy was he thought Jimmy was gonna run right through Middleton and stop, but look at how Jimmy approached that. He's at the top of the key and he's trying to run offense instead of be aggressive. Like, hey, we want to steal one here on the road. He's trying to make plays and just run the offense. That's another place where they really miss Goran. Goran as the offensive guy, as the lead playmaker on offense last year, he knows when to be a playmaker and when to score. He didn't always know how to do that. He's at that stage of his career where he's a fucking master at that, and he would have dictated that. He would have had the gravity and forced the issue there. But Jimmy's being a playmaker there, and he's not always going to look for his shots. We've seen him and Bam both pass out of shots they should take and looks they should take, and that's just fucking annoying. And even when Jimmy caught the ball, when Jimmy catches the ball up on the weak side, he's on one-on-one with Middleton. Instead of just attacking Middleton is a really good defender. Fucking drive against him, try to create pressure, and then kick out for an open shot.
The Bucks were also in foul trouble a lot of times last playoff series, and they gotta get them, they gotta make them feel pressure. They're not. The Heat are 100% playing. They are not as Zach likes to say, they are not dictating the terms of engagement. They are 100% doing whatever the Bucks tell them to. The Bucks are like, you do this. They're not making them pay. They're doing every shot the Heat take, especially in game 2, was something that the Bucks wanted them to take. And you're never going to win a basketball game against a good team doing that. You're just not. Bam's the other guy.
Great defensive team.
I mean, they weren't even great this season. I think they were 10th or 11th. So it's not like they were great, but they've got to their base that we know is great.
And they have great defenders. It's not the production hasn't been great for the season. But that's largely because they were trying. They were implementing a lot of new players, and they were also trying different things out.
Bro, these people are trying to exercise their demons.
Yeah.
This is not going to be easy. And the Heat just have not. I mean, game one, they looked fine, right? Even though Jimmy and Bam didn't really give them what they wanted. But you thought, okay, well, if as long as they improve that and the rest stays, you really have a chance. And that just hasn't been the case. Let's get to Bam for a little bit before we kind of close out, Frankie. I thought he showed a little bit of life. I think defensively he's been good. I don't think any of this is really his fault. He could play a little better, but I think once kind of he gets in his offensive rhythm, that stuff will come a little easier. But
he's not even doing the over switching like he used
they
to
have
do.
him in drop. I mean, again, he's fine. He's not been the issue, right? And I think the Bucks are specifically not attacking him because they know he's good, right? Ariza's been the problem, whatever. On offense, he doesn't look to the basket. He's indecisive, not looking to pull up, not looking to do anything. Overpassing. I thought he was getting downhill a little bit. I do think he's a lot stronger than a lot of these dudes, and he really has to kind of understand that. I want a little bit more, Frankie, a play that they did against, and they've done this, but with guards, they need to do what they did Bam against Brooklyn, where you have Duncan kind of screen the middle of the floor, and you run Bam off, and at least try to get him going like in motion to catch the ball. Because you got to give him a different look. It just can't be stand at the top of the handoff with a D, because he's not comfortable doing that. And we can talk about, well, you just got to – you look upset. You just can't say like, oh, well, you got to be different. Well, I think they're going to have to help him, because I don't really know. If he's not going to take the initiative himself, you got to fucking make him.
Fuck you, G. You were stealing my whole pregame.
Oh, I was?
Take. This is everything
no,
you're saying.
I am agreeing with you.
Us.
I'm saying I just said I agree with you. You've been saying this, and they gotta. Yeah, he's just not going to change. It's who he is.
But one of the other things that I'm 100% patient with Bam because I remember how far he's fucking come, bro. He didn't have a jumper until last year, and now we're supposed to count on it as the number one option to beat one of the most talented playoff teams out here in a playoff series. Like we have to fucking differentiate our looks. He's getting the same look, and hasn't been able to do that. They're not running any counters to it. Brook Lopez is under the fucking rim. Put somebody to screen him, so he's fucking stuck under there, and Bam has a lane to the fucking hoop, or one-on-one against DiVincenzo or Middleton. I don't give a fuck.
I love that
They're not doing
screen
anything
in the middle of the floor, to get him there. He's not even getting active as a roller, Frankie. That's the other thing, and that's on Jimmy more than Bam. I mean, they gotta go 4 out and fucking get him downhill or some shit, because it's been bad. He's not getting anything. He's gotten a couple rolls off scrambles, but I mean, that's on Goran. That's on Jimmy. They got to get him going. They just got to.
In game one, I noticed that Tyler and Nunn had options on the DHOs and the pick and rolls with Bam to hit him, but they saw it a split second late where the gap closed up already.
That's the story of their season. And those are the progressive reads that they got to learn to make.
Yeah, they have to get better and improve there.
But Jimmy and Bam see it. Jimmy and Gogi see it,
guys. Yeah. Jimmy and Gogi see it, and they do a good job. But they need to hit him earlier and get him rolling to the rim, going to the rim, and Spo needs to say, hey, early on, like we want, like Bam, we're going downhill with you. Like we'll take those looks. You go to the rim, get to the line, force the issue too.
More DHOs, kind of go to that more. Jimmy Butler cannot have 3 pick and roll ball handling possessions. That just has to be in the 10s. That's inexcusable to me. He has to be more involved in their offense. One thing I will say, one good thing about it is Jimmy's triggered more handoffs lately, and I think that's been good. If the Bucks are going to drop against him, I think he's recognized that, and the built-in counter is, okay, well, we will hand off for Duncan. And they did it a couple times early in the game, and they stopped. Duncan had 4 handoffs. Jimmy had 2. Bam had 2. So I think the natural thing is, okay, well, if you're going to play really off me like this, right, if you're going to do all that little cute show and recover, or you're going to like really duck way, way under, handoff to that is an easy counter. And Jimmy as a roller is good. Jimmy's screening for Dragic with an empty left side is not something we've seen a lot of. I would like a little bit more of that. You can put Ariza and Duncan on one side.
More empty actions, period, too.
Yeah, like it's just something that Spo's really liked and something that they've done a really good job of. And if you can kind of shift the help away from one side and you kind of give Jimmy a lane to either stop and pop for a jumper or just head to the rim with Goran. Yeah, I just think it's really beneficial. That's just not stuff they've done. And again, Eric Spoelstra's a Hall of Fame coach who's incredible. They're going to watch. They already know this. So,
yeah.
But it's something that I would like to see more of. A couple with the zone, couple with all these lineup things we've talked about. Franky, I don't feel good about this series. I'm not going to lie to our audience. I'm not going to kind of bring the hype machine. I don't feel good. I do think that there are things that they can do, that they can give themselves a chance. I do think that they're at a massive talent disparity. I don't know how they defend. There's too much size on the Bucks, and I don't think their guards are going to magically get better. It's just their weakness all year, and I'm surprised that it didn't happen last year. This is who they are, and I'm a little worried because Holiday has been an issue for them. They have no answer for Drew Holiday other than what we said, maybe trap him. But again, now you're getting Giannis rolling and all this stuff. So I don't know how well this can go for them. They have moves to play. I don't feel great about them winning another game, but I know that you feel a lot better than I do.
I feel confident that the guys can win a couple games. I don't know if they can win the series. The talent disparity is a lot bigger than last year. We would have to see big performances from Bam, Jimmy, and somebody else. Like it has to be. They need a Trevor. They need a Kelly. They need 5 guys this series to win this series. They can. I can count on Jimmy and Bam to get it going. We know Goran's been getting it going. Who are the other 2? That's my biggest question. Who are the other 2? I know Dedmon can contribute. I don't know if he's the 4th best guy on a playoff team. You know, I don't know if he's able to do that. They need something out of Tyler. They need Duncan. They can get Duncan going. He could possibly be that 4th. Who's that 5th guy? Who's going to be that 5th guy? And how are they going to close games? Because that first game, you know, a lot was talked about Jimmy and Bam having terrible games. It wasn't enough talking about they didn't have a 5th guy to close that game that they could rely on. If Trevor was a threat that game, they would have won that game.
The Knicks, by the way, are losing by 10 points. Randall is 0 for 3.
Let's go.
Has not had a good series against the Hawks so far. We got to see how that goes. At least we can take
John Collins, offseason. Let's go.
Plant Poppy says, you need some guts, G. Stop acting like a puss. I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. I'm bottomed out. That's Frankie. In the group chat, I'm all doom and gloom. I'm giving you – listen, I want to be honest with you guys. I don't want to lie and sell you guys my false hope. I like to be transparent with you guys. This is who I am. I am who I am. I can only be me. So, I mean, that's just kind of how I'm feeling. That's how you're feeling. Frankie, I will say this as we close out. We're going to see what this team's really made of tomorrow.
Absolutely.
I think they have not faced because the adversity because, I mean, that playoff run, they were playing from ahead every series until the Lakers, but they were hurt. They were hurt. Their guys were not healthy. And not that they had a built-in excuse, but it was a little different. They were not expected to win. Like, it was different. They were expected to do better than this. And they're not missing guys really other than Oladipo, but nobody cares. Jimmy has looked bad and Bam has looked bad. And Jimmy is under heat nationally, which I think is funny because he's like, so I saw somebody tweet out, it's like, oh, Jimmy tricked everyone with his hard work brand. He's a fucking all-NBA player this season. Shut the fuck up. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, honestly, like, shut up. Like, you don't, it's like, Frankie, I was so mad yesterday because so many fucking people that don't watch this team, that haven't watched this team all year, want to come in now. Matt Moore, all you other national people, and start talking about giving your sweeping Heat opinions based off one game. When I know you haven't watched the team that much. You haven't. And I'm sick and tired of that. And I'm sick and tired of the idea of the bubble fraud and this and that. Because the idea of the bubble is that it helps your offense, right? It's the idea that your offense is going to get better because you're playing in these antiseptic environments without fans, without this, without travel, without blah. And the Heat were a shitty road team, blah, 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 blah. Their fucking offense took a hit. Their offense wasn't as good in the bubble as it was in the regular-ass season with fans when they were 7th in offense, almost 5th. When Duncan was shooting the lights out and all their guys. Tyler shot better in the regular season in arenas with fans than he did in the bubble. That's just a misconception. What Tyler took a leap in the bubble was as a pick and roll ball handler. It was not as a shooter.
Finisher.
As a finisher and a pick and roll. That's not bubble. He got better because he was young and he had fucking 5 months to practice. Right? And the people that are lazy and they're like, no Jay Crowder, bubble fraud. It's like you didn't watch the fucking team. They got their shit together. Their switch defense, which they had implemented as soon as Jay and Andre got there, was not ready. They had time to go over to watch film, to learn, to prepare. They had a little mini training camp before, and they were able to kind of get their ducks in a row when they went on this run. They got very favorable matchups. And nothing they did was like crazy. Goran is the only dude that you can point to and say, that dude outperformed his regular season. He's the only one.
And he's a former All-Star.
And that's what you get when you give a fucking 35-year-old a couple months rest. Nobody says shit about AD shooting in the bubble. Nobody says shit about LeBron, who, by the way, has been hurt every year he's a Laker. That fucking time off helped his ass too.
Exactly. So, and you know what drives me fucking nuts is every team had that 5 months off. Every team in the bubble was in the fucking bubble. You could have all fucking gotten your
Nobody
shit
called
together.
Phoenix a bubble fraud. Nobody called Phoenix a bubble hype.
You could have all used that training camp to get your shit together. Oh, the Miami Heat were more focused and crazy and focused in that bubble situation. Sorry, you guys are fucking soft. And I find it hilarious that the Bucks fans are calling the Heat bubble frauds because we whooped that ass in the bubble. If we're frauds, what the fuck were you last season?
Dude, it's so frustrating, and I'm just sick and tired of these people that haven't watched this team and that are like, oh well, this tells us a lot. Bro, shut the fuck up. This happened earlier in the season. The Heat lost by 40 points, 40 plus points in December. They lost by 40 plus to the same Bucks team. They did not have Jimmy, and you know what they did the next night, Frankie? Literally the next night against the Bucks.
Without Jimmy too.
They won by 11 points. Right? So I've seen this. I saw that game already. That game was not new to me. I saw that shit. I saw it. That's not new. But for people, it was new because they didn't fucking watch this team. They don't give a shit. They don't watch. And that's how this is. Right?
Say it, G.
They've watched more Knick games than they have Heat games. Which, by the way,
Say it, G.
They're frauds. They're analyst frauds. As Tony Fiorentino says, pseudo-analytics. I'm just sick of it.
Heaton. Say it, G.
Heat in 6!